Get caffeinated so we can talk about books. Hey book lovers, it's Dakota and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be discussing my 2020 Reading Rush TBR. For those of you that don't know, the Reading Rush is a summer reading challenge that lasts for a week in July, and this year it's from the 20th through the 26th. And the goal is to basically just read as many books as you possibly can. And I believe this was created by Ariel Bassett, who has a booktube channel. She's from Canada. She's awesome. I love her. And her and I think some of her friends come up with different challenges that you have to do your book selection. So we're going to talk about the books that I have selected that I hopefully am going to read. It's a super ambitious TBR for 1 week. But I want to give it a try. You know, the worst thing that happens is I just keep reading, you know. As long as you're reading, I don't think it matters that you hit your goal. But goals are good to have. So let's talk about it. The first reading challenge is pick a book that matches the color of your birthstone. This was surprisingly hard. I'm a Taurus. I was born in May. My birthstone is green or emerald if we're getting technical. And I don't know if it's just a testament to how undiverse my book selection is that I have here, but it was so hard. I only had like 3 books that I could choose from, and even then, like, it was a reach to say that these were green. But I did pick one, and it's kind of funny, but it's all I had. I haven't read it, so it counts. We're gonna read it. The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis. I feel like everyone knows what this book is. It's the first one in the Chronicles of Narnia series, which I have not read, but I loved the movies. And as someone who loves fantasy books, I feel like I should definitely read this. It's a staple in fantasy. Even though it's a children's book, I haven't read it. I should read it. I'm gonna read it. And it matches my birthstone. The second challenge was super difficult for me to do. More difficult than you would think. And it was read a book that starts with the word the. And that sounds simple at first, but when you read a bunch of books that are just like one-word titles like Dune or Impulse or Totally Joe, you know, it was so hard to pick. And so I did some digging, and this has been on my TBR. I do have the audiobook for this, so it's going to work out kind of nicely because audiobooks, chop chop. And that is The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. Starts with the word the. It's relatively thin. I'm getting into Patrick Ness slowly but surely, and so we're gonna read this and have a good time. So the third challenge was to read a book that inspired a movie you had already seen, which is another kind of difficult one. There's some leeway with this. You could like find a book and then watch the movie first, but when you think about it, so many movies that we've seen have been inspired by books beforehand. So if you do a little digging, it's super easy to find. This is the challenge I'm most excited about because the book I have chosen is the book that inspired like if you asked me what my number one, like if I had to pick one movie that just changed my life, best movie I've ever seen, favorite movie of all time, which is like a huge statement because I love so many movies, I can only pick one. And it's been my same answer since I saw this movie, and that is Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. I'm thinking about Cloud Atlas. Like my mind is on a Cloud Atlas tangent. I'm just thinking about how every time I watch that movie, I learn something new. I notice a small detail that they put in there, and it's the greatest story of all time, probably, that I've read so far. I haven't read it. The greatest story that I've experienced so far. No words. No words. That movie, like, it's one of those things, I've seen it so many times, and every time I take away something new from it, it's just like one of those, it's like a constant teacher in a new way, and I'm always picking up new things. There's so many details in it. It was made by the Wachowskis, who did the Matrix series and all that good stuff. It's just, that movie is the most underhyped, but should deserve all the hype movies of all time. Like, now I can't even do this TBR because I want to watch Cloud Atlas. So the fourth challenge was to read a book, the first book that you touch, which is so interesting and so open for interpretation. So you could literally like just go blind on your bookshelf and touch the first thing. You could have someone else's guidance and they'll select the book for you. What I did personally was I stacked all of the books that I want to read in 2020, and I just kind of like felt around and picked one, and I'm so glad I picked Bloom by Kevin Panetta and Savannah Ganuccio. It is a graphic novel. It's kind of large, but graphic novels usually go pretty quick. I think it's a gay love story. This character's family owns a bakery and he works there and he doesn't like it. This guy gets hired there and he loves baking, and he kind of inspires a new love for baking in the main character. They form, I guess, a love story, some kind of relationship. Don't know much about it. I've heard great things though, great reviews on Goodreads, and I'm gonna read it. The fifth challenge is a physical one, and so it doesn't really necessarily need a specific book for this. I may throw a seventh book into my TBR if I find the time, but it's pretty ambitious already with 6 books, so I'm gonna leave it at that. But the fifth challenge is to read a book in its entirety completely outside of your house. So that could mean a bunch of things. That could mean in your car, at the park, in your backyard, at work in your cubicle if you're going to work. Just make sure you social distance and wear a mask. I'm not really sure which one I will read outside my house. It'll probably be the graphic novel, just because I think that would be the most, the best use of time. So yeah, this will probably be the one I read outside of my house, but who knows? We'll see. This is gonna be my goal though. The sixth challenge is read a book in a genre that you've always wanted to read more of. For me, I'm a big like fantasy, YA, sci-fi book lover. That's my go-to. And so there was a lot to choose from that I haven't read. Something that's been on my shelf that so many people I know have read, but I have not read it, is Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. And I have not read this. I have not seen the show. I know nothing about this, but I've heard it's incredible. The blurbs make it sound awesome. And yeah, I'm really interested to see how this goes. I think there's like a super twist ending, and don't know anything about this. I think there's like a reporter who goes back home and she's investigating, I don't know, a murder of young girls maybe, or the murderer collects teeth. I really don't know anything about this, but it's a popular one in the thriller genre, like probably one of the most popular ones. And so I wanted to give this a read. Super short, super doable, but I'm super excited about this. Finally, the seventh challenge is to read a book that takes place on a different continent than your own. So this was really interesting. This is probably so much to choose from, and it's a really great way to expand your reading to authors outside of the United States. I picked one that I have talked about on this channel before, but that I haven't read, and I'm super late to the game, and Reading Rush is the time to do it. We're gonna do this, we're gonna read this. Also one of my favorite movies of all time, but I haven't read the book, and like I'm just gonna let it cover my face because I'm so embarrassed about this. Call Me By Your Name by Andre Aciman. I'm gonna read this. I loved the movie. It only makes sense that I should read this too. This could have worked for the movie one also, but Cloud Atlas is like slightly higher on my list. I'm sorry, Timothy Chalamet. But I want to read this so that I can then read the sequel, Find Me. But this needs to be read. I feel like this is essential reading for any member of the LGBTQIA+ community, and I'm gonna do it. And this is the perfect time. It's not going to be a task. Like, I can't wait to read this, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Other things kind of get in the way. So I'm going to read this. So that is all of my Reading Rush TBR for 2020. I've never done a Reading Rush before, so I'm super excited. I may reach the goal and read all the books. I may not. And that's okay. I think the point is just to get you reading, you know, to kind of put your screens down, step away from the TV, get out of your house, you know, enrich your life in an active way, like by reading, you know, instead of passively scrolling through Instagram or kind of, you know, vegging out in front of endless YouTube videos, because you all know getting caught in those YouTube cycles where you just click and watch the next one. Like you'll look at the clock and hours have gone by. So I feel like this is a great thing to do for any age group, any demographic, anyone who loves reading or wants to love reading more. It's a great week-long challenge to kind of broaden your reading horizons and expose you to new things and kind of make you work a little bit for the pleasure. I'm super excited. Let me know what you're reading. Hit me up if you want to book club one of these books and we can kind of read and discuss together. I would love that. And just a gentle, loving reminder that Black lives still matter. It still needs to be taken care of. I feel like just because it's not a trending hashtag right now, like the issues are still there. COVID is still a huge issue, so make sure you are practicing social distancing and, you know, washing your hands and wearing a mask when you go into public and just being super safe and smart. But that's it. I can take these off now because they're reading glasses and I'm done reading at the moment. Yeah, I hope this video finds you in a place of love and happiness, and I just love reading. I hope you love reading. I hope that this video inspires you to pick up a book. Definitely in Reading Rush, even if you just read one, I bet you could knock out all the challenges with one really selected book. So, you know, I really hope all of you engage in this, and I love all the feedback that I've gotten and stuff, and the private messages about people with their reading suggestions and thanking me for mine and stuff. And I love that community aspect. I didn't expect reading to open that window. And so I'm super happy about that, and keep reaching out, you know, let's keep building the readership and just kind of spreading the gospel. That's a wrap. Coffee is good.